Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you are doing so very well. Today I'm here to bring you my May wrap-up, which is very late. First up, let's talk about Kindness Challenge. I'm still not sure what's happening with that yet. I've had kind of a crazy 2 months. I was also just in a car accident. I'm fine, car's not. So I haven't quite figured out what we're gonna do for Kindness Challenge, but I do know there is a monthly campaign starting up soon for our poor life, so maybe I'll tie it into that, we'll see. And now let's get into the books. May was month of Matson, so I read all of Morgan Matson's books, as well as made videos for all of them except for Since You've Been Gone. I still have a video for Since You've Been Gone, I just haven't finished it. If you didn't see any of those, I will link them all down below. You can check them out. So that's 4 of Morgan Matson's books, and then I read 4 other books, so super exciting. 8 books for the month. Let's do this! First up, I've got The Warrior Heir by Cinda Williams Chima. This book is about Jack. He lives in this small town. He's always lived there, and when he was born, he had a heart problem, and so he always takes medicine for it, or so he thinks. One day he skips his medicine, and then crazy things start happening. He finds out he's really strong, and he's actually a warrior in this magical culture that he knows nothing about. So the whole book is people chasing him, trying to catch him because he's valuable, and also people fighting for him and him trying to figure out what all of this means. So I think just after reading Cinda Williams Chima's other series, this one was so disappointing. The 7 Realms series is incredible and phenomenal, and I love it so much, and I would recommend it to anyone. The Warrior Heir was not as much. The plot was interesting, the characters were okay, I just didn't feel a connection to anything in the story, so it just really took me a long time to get into it. I didn't want to mark it way down because, like, it is pretty interesting, it is a pretty good story for some people, but it just did not compare to her other series. It is also her first series, so I think that that is part of the reason that the characters kind of lacked a little bit of depth and why it wasn't as interesting as the 7 Realms series. So pretty much my whole pitch for this book is just read the 7 Realms series, it's amazing. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Next up is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. This book is about Molly, and she is a girl. She's had a record number of crushes, 26 to be exact, but she's never actually told any of them how she feels. She's just crushed and then let it go. Then she gets a new job at a store, and there's a guy here, and she's not quite sure how she feels about him. And then on the flip side, her twin sister has started dating this girl who has 2 guy friends that are always hanging out with them, and she thinks she might be crushing on one of them. So who will Molly pick? Yeah, this was another slightly disappointing book. I know so many people love this book, so I don't want to be like, your feelings are invalid, because they're not. But for me, I was expecting this to be like a book of my heart, which is not something you should probably expect going in. I should probably always lower my expectations. I need to learn from myself. But from the description, I really relate to Molly. I've crushed a lot, never told people how I feel, never dated anybody. That's kind of like where I'm at in my life, but older. And so I was like, I'm gonna relate to this so hard. I know it. It's gonna be great. And then I didn't. Maybe it's just because I'm 26. That's probably it. There's probably just that YA gap there, and I shouldn't expect that, but I was just like, so sad. However, this book is fabulous. Molly is such an interesting character who grows a lot, and there's also a lot of diversity, especially in terms of sexuality. Her twin sister is a lesbian who is dating someone who is pansexual, and then they have a mom who is a lesbian and a mom who is bisexual. So that's one thing that I really did love about this book, and that I would highly recommend this book, even though I was sadly disappointed. There are books that, like, everyone is like, this book is the best book that you will ever read. It changed my life. And then I'm like, but not me. I liked it. It was good, but I wasn't like, this is the best book ever. Also, the ending of this book was so beautiful, and I cried. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This book is about Andy. Her dad's a politician who has gone through a scandal, which kind of rocks her summer because it means he's home for the summer, and it also means the pre-med program that she was going to go to drops her, and she's unexpectedly home for the summer. She gets a job as a dog walker, which is not something she would ever expect, and she also meets Clark, which is someone she definitely didn't expect to meet. Andy's always been a planner, so this whole summer is unexpected, and it's really her dealing with that and dealing with what happens when summer ends. I really love Clark in this book. I still love Frank more. Frank is still like man of my heart, but Clark is so cute. He's super nerdy. He always wears Doctor Who t-shirts. He does all the stuff, and I'm like, yes, I love you so much. There's also a foursome of friends in this book that has group text. There's some emojis in here as well, and I liked seeing a bigger group of friends rather than just best friends or a girl who doesn't have friends. And they also have some issues throughout the book that they deal with as friends do. Sometimes things don't work out perfectly, which is also a great thing to have in contemporaries where most things end up perfectly and wrapped up and everything. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next up is Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This is the 3rd book in the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy. It was only gonna be duology, but then we got a trilogy, and let me tell you, I'm so glad that we did. This book is perfect. There's not really a good way to talk about this book without spoiling the first book, but it just follows Lara Jean later in her life. The first book is about Lara Jean, who's always written letters to the boys that she loved. Then one day they get mailed out to all of those boys, even though she's over them. She actually still has a crush on one of them. And then Peter Kay, who's always kind of been obnoxious in her life, he and her start fake dating to make this other boy jealous. Fun and cuteness ensue. This was definitely the best book in the trilogy. The relationship stuff was fantastic, and it's really about her graduating and going off to college and trying to make those decisions, and it just like harkened back to that time in my life. I actually was like, what colleges did I apply to? I remember like 2 of them, and that's it. It's fine. But this was fantastic and the best close to the trilogy. It was fabulous. It was my favorite in all of the trilogy. Yes. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. This book is about Taylor and her family. They have found out that their dad has 3 months to live, so they all go back to their lake house to spend the summer together. But Taylor left a couple problems and a couple people that she just kind of ran away from there, and she is gonna have to face those consequences, and that is really what this book is about. If you think it's gonna be sad, you're right. I bawl my eyes out every single time I read this book, and I still do it to myself because I love it. I relate to Taylor a lot and her tendency to run away from things that are hard. I see you. I get you. I also loved Henry a lot more this reread around. So much cuteness. There's some hard stuff that you have to get to before you get to Henry, but Henry's the best. And I also love the restoring of relationships, even though some other things end. Very sad, but very good. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up is Amy and Rodgers' epic Detour, also by Morgan Matson. This is about Amy, who is in a car accident with her dad, and her dad dies, so she is not currently driving. Then her mom needs her to drive this car cross country to their new house, and her mom enlists Roger to drive her across the United States, even though Amy doesn't really remember who he is. This book is really just her dealing with her dad's death and coming to terms with that and really finding herself on their epic detour. This book is so cute. I love it. Road trip books are my everything. I love them so much. And I really love how this book is not about her relationship with Roger. It's really about her growing as a person, coming to terms with her dad's death, really accepting it and moving forward. And it's just great. And it's a really fast read. You should just read it. It's the best. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Next up is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This is my favorite Morgan Matson book of all time until Save the Date comes out. Then we'll see where that falls. This is about Emily, and she has this best friend named Sloane. She's kind of been under Sloane's shadow for the past 2 years. Then Sloane suddenly disappears but sends her this list to complete. So Emily feels like if she finishes this list, she can find Sloane. And then she also meets Frank Porter, and he wants to help her with this list and maybe some other things. It's about friendship and doing things that are out of your comfort zone, and it's fantastic. I love this book so much. I think it's a combination of me relating with Emily, all of the above. I love it all. I love the different elements of this that Emily has to kind of like do things that are out of her comfort zone and things that she would never do, like ride a horse. And Frank is literally the best. I love Frank Porter with all my heart. I want him to be real, even though I know he's definitely fictional, but I love him a lot. And that's really all I want to say about this book. It's great. You should read it. It's honestly the best. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. And last but not least is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I read this for Ostentatious, and we did a live show discussing it, and I will link that here. I love Anne of Green Gables. The reason it is above everything else on this list is because it is going to be one of my forever faves. I love everything so much. Anne of Green Gables is about a little girl named Anne. Bet you didn't know that. When Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert try to get a boy from the orphanage, they end up with Anne, and she makes their life brighter in ways that they never expected. And it's really about her journey through school. It starts whenever she's about 11 or 12, and it goes till she's about 17 or 18. So it follows her through her whole school years there, and it's amazing. I would recommend this book to everyone. The rest of the series is pretty great too, except for Anne of the Windy Poplars. That one is awful. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. And that's it. That's all the books that I read in May. Let me know down below if you participated in Month of Matson and which Morgan Matson book that you read. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!